So, stargazers were chasing the Perseid meteor shower, but instead, they got something more unusual and rare – a massive cosmic swirl in the sky. In August 2025, reports poured in from Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Ohio, Nebraska, a total of at least 10 states, and Ontario, Canada. The ghostly spiral was floating over the highways, houses, and woods for almost 10 minutes before vanishing like a Penn and Teller trick. It bloomed, unfurled, and then just faded. The internet went nuts about the mysterious spiral. Witnesses snapped video with shaky hands, wondering what they just saw. And of course, theories bloom faster than wildflowers in spring. Some people thought it must have been a Perseid meteor. It all happened smack in the middle of the season for those shooting stars. But meteors blaze bright and fast, and this was slow, hypnotic, and weirdly beautiful. Then a rocket theory took hold. The United Launch Alliance's Vulcan from Florida was a prime suspect. But the geometry didn't add up, as that rocket headed east, not the Midwest. The timing and path just didn't align. Finally, the European dark horse entered the spotlight, Ariane 6. They launched this rocket with a weather satellite on it from French Guiana just minutes earlier. Some astronomers mentioned that it probably released frozen exhaust high in the atmosphere during its cleanup phase. That spinning fuel cloud could have caught the sunlight just right, creating a spiral that drifted in the upper atmosphere. People were able to see it for a good stretch before dissipation. What we do know is that the physics behind what we witnessed are normally part of the twilight phenomenon. As the upper stage of a rocket starts spinning in space, it dumps leftover fuel. In the upper atmosphere, that fuel instantly turns into ice crystals that scatter sunlight and form a spiral that looks like something spun straight out of a fantasy novel. It's totally natural and doesn't have to do with extraterrestrial civilizations like some people thought. Still, nothing's confirmed, but there are more similar glowing structures lately, mostly from SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets. That's why they even have a nickname, SpaceX Spirals. In March 2025, a glowing swirl formed above Europe like a neon whirlpool, or the Milky Way got into a blender. The blue spiral stretched and spun steadily for about 8 to 12 minutes above the UK and further into Sweden, Poland, Hungary, and Croatia. The sponsor of this sky show was a Falcon 9 rocket that had launched from Cape Canaveral earlier that day. Once the rocket reached space, it dumped leftover fuel that froze into ice crystals, and people got to enjoy an amazing sight. Now, normally, SpaceX spirals come in a perfect vortex shape, but the one that appeared over Europe in 2024 had two faint, horn-like pillars of light. It's the only horned spiral we've seen so far. It photobombed the auroras over countries like Poland, Lithuania, and the Czech Republic. Earlier that evening, a Falcon 9 rocket launched from California's Vandenberg Air Force Base, carrying Earth-observing satellites. Another layer to the story is that there was a strong G3-level geomagnetic storm happening at the same time, thanks to a coronal mass ejection that crashed into Earth's magnetic field earlier that day. That storm pumped up the northern lights, which became the staged backdrop for the spiral's eerie entrance. Another SpaceX spiral example is from April 2023. Over Alaska, people who went out to watch the northern lights suddenly froze as a glowing blue spiral swirled into view. It was drifting across skies like someone had opened a portal to another dimension. Cameras caught it, social media went wild, and Stargate in the sky was suddenly trending. But as it turned out, the portal was no invitation from the Milky Way, but the aftermath of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Frozen exhaust spun in the upper atmosphere and reflected sunlight in a perfect corkscrew pattern, framed against shimmering auroras. The science was straightforward, but the sight was straight out of a science fiction film. Now, spirals aren't the only kind of weird atmospheric shows nature throws for us. In Italy in 2023, a massive red ring of light suddenly flashed high above a storm. Scientists identified it as an ELF, a type of transient luminous event. When a lightning bolt unleashes a powerful electromagnetic pulse, it slams into the ionosphere's nitrogen and creates a glowing red disk hundreds of miles across. The phenomenon lasted only milliseconds, but thanks to time-lapse cameras, it burned into memory like the outline of an extraterrestrial saucer. Normally, only satellites orbiting the Earth can spot elves, but in this case, the lightning bolt was at least 10 times more powerful than regular ones, so it was visible to humans on Earth. Another cool thing about it is that it looked like it was hanging in the sky, directly above the town of Posenio. But in reality, the massive halo appeared above central Italy and part of the Adriatic Sea. It was just a forced perspective that made it look like it was in a completely different space. You can only get the best view of some sky shows directly from space. Aboard the International Space Station, orbiting 250 miles above Earth, astronauts once reported seeing two mysterious blue blobs glowing beneath them. From orbit, they looked like deep-sea creatures that had been misplaced in the sky, two radiant orbs pulsing against the blackness of space. It turned out that one blob was a massive lightning strike somewhere in the Gulf of Thailand. You can't normally spot those from the ISS, as clouds hide them. But this one strike occurred next to a large circular gap in the top of the clouds, and the lightning illuminated the surrounding walls of the cloudy caldera-like structure. The second glowing blue blob was the Moon playing tricks with light. Because of where the Moon was lined up with the International Space Station, the sunlight it reflected had to pass through Earth's atmosphere before reaching the astronauts' cameras. And when light hit the atmosphere, things got funky. Tiny particles floating in our air, like dust, water, and other stuff, scattered light in different ways. Not all colors of light behave the same, though. Each color has a different wavelength. Blue light waves are the shortest of the bunch, which makes them the easiest to scatter in all directions. So, when moonlight passes through our atmosphere, the blue part of that light spreads out the most. That's why the Moon looked like a fuzzy blue blob with a halo instead of its usual white glow. It's the same reason the sky looks blue during the day. Sunlight hits our Earth's atmosphere, and the blue wavelengths scatter way more than the reds or yellows. Our eyes pick up that scattered blue light and boom, blue sky. So basically, the ISS astronauts weren't seeing a new phenomenon. They were seeing the same science that makes summer skies look so bright. Only this time, the Moon got the blue makeover. Then, residents of Newburyport, Massachusetts, saw a fire rainbow pop up out of nowhere on June 2, 2024. Now, technically, it's called a circumhorizontal arc, and it happens when sunlight hits ice crystals high in the clouds at just the right angle, bending into a slice of rainbow that looks like it's flaming across the sky. It's all about timing and angles. The sun needs to be over 58 degrees high, and you need cirrus clouds or jet contrails carrying ice crystals. Light passes through the crystals, splits, and suddenly, boom, a rainbow in the clouds, usually just peeking through gaps. It's not just Massachusetts. In Weatherford, Texas, on April 15, 2025, jellyfish clouds called virga did the same thing. Ice was falling but never hitting the ground, creating a floating rainbow halo. And on April 25, 2024, in Ohio, photographers caught the crystals scattering light into perfect rainbow colors again. So, next time you're outside, keep your eyes peeled. Mother Nature loves to show off, and sometimes she paints the sky on fire.
Hello? Baby?
We pay good money to feel this in Phoenix. Sorry.
Oh man.
There's one right above us. It actually just disappeared. Maybe it's the clouds. You see it? It's getting brighter. It's turning. Oh, shit. Am I getting that? Right here, it's in the clouds now.
Let's see. Stare over there, I'll get it.
Wait a second, hold on. Oh, that's crazy. Where'd it go? Let me keep my eye there for just a second. Huh. That's interesting. It looks like I got that, whatever that was. I think I got it on camera.
You're recording stuff right now that we're not even seeing.
About a military base out here. Welcome to Skywatch.
Me and Dan saw a ship that looked like a galactic flashlight or something going through the clouds. It came out of,
Something about this patch of clouds, like right above us. It's like really circular almost. But remember how I said we were driving up here, I said you can see the concentration of clouds like right above the mountains. One thing I do notice is on this flat plains, there's no clouds. But over Sedona, it's clouds. I mean, there's some over there, but once again, that's where the mountains and everything, but just kind of like this area, then over there. This is what we do. And on this version of Skywatch, we're going to take you up to Sedona, Arizona. Thousands of people flock here every year to visit Sedona. Many witnesses and plenty of reports show that there's strange amounts of energy coming out of the ground. It's observable. In modern pop culture, it is one of the most popular places to visit in the state of Arizona. And people even come here for healing benefits and traits. So what we're going to do as a team, we're going to investigate this area. What we've decided to do is we're going to pack up and we're going to approach this from 3 different vantage points. The first one is by helicopter. And the reason why we want to do that is because we want to look for interferences in our devices, our electronics. We got the flight data corresponder running at all times, and everything should match up perfectly. But we also are doing this because we hear there's a portal in the area. A couple, possibly. Are we going to film one? We really don't know. But if we were to fly into a portal, what would happen? Would there be some sort of interference in the data, in our electronics? We don't know, but we will see. We're going to go over to the helipad where Dan and Chris are waiting. We're going to help them get the helicopter ready, strap it up with cameras, GoPros, DJIs, and they're going to venture to the southern part of Sedona. The second is we're going to get in the car and we're going to drive up north. We're going to set up a day watch in a specific area that was brought to our attention by one of the fans of the series. They pointed out an area where some of the mountains appear to have been carved by man. It's also been stated that there have been strange lights coming in and out of the mountains. And most shocking, actual sounds that don't replicate any type of wildlife in the area. We're going to attack this from the ground. What we're going to do is we're going to point our cameras up and focus on the sky while we're collecting samples. One thing I've learned is this, is sometimes what's happening in the sky could also be happening on the ground. So if we disrupt the soil a little bit, could this be like a trigger poking the bear almost? This will be followed up by a night watch hosted by Tom King.
My name is Tom King. I investigate UFOs. My friends, Clive Christopher and a whole group of us. This is my third trip up to Sedona in 2025. Investigating whatever is weird that happens up here. I try to bring a good amount of recording equipment to figure it out. So this is the third time I'm up here. Last time I came up here to investigate supposedly 14 helicopters that are coming out of the ground. So science-wise, we're coming back to try it again with the same gear. And we have more people this time. So this will be interesting to see if anything weird happens tonight. Something almost always weird happens.
With Tom and this third vantage point is we're going to go to a specific area. We're not going to mention this area. Military trucks appear out of nowhere. An area that has been filmed by television crews. And we've gotten a really close spot to where we're undetected. At least we think we're undetected. And we're going to set up the cameras. We're going to set them up to point in the sky and on the ground. And we're going to see what's going on. Because we have learned that there is a military presence in this location. What they're doing, we don't know. But that's why we're here, to investigate. So, join us on Skywatch with Chris Donald, Dan Starkey, Tom King, and myself, Clive Christopher. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to our first stop. And that's at the helipad where Chris and Dan are waiting. And what they're going to do today is they're going to fly over the southern portion of Sedona. Reason being, it's been said that portals exist in a specific area. There's a location that is shrouded in mystery. You need permission to get out there. And if you don't, military trucks appear out of nowhere and chase you out. So we decided to fly above the property and get an aerial view of these 3 different locations. As we're helping them get the helicopter set up, let's hear from Dan and Chris.
Hey, I'm Dan Starkey. I'm with ART, Arizona Rogue Recon and Research Team. And we look for odd things in Arizona, things that people don't believe is really there, but we're here to prove it. And so today we're going to fly up around Bradshaw Ranch and check out to see for ourselves if there's anything to this area. So yesterday we did some remote viewing, had the collective do some remote viewing on it, so we have some targets to look at. Supposedly there's a portal there. We're gonna see if we can find any sign of that. So that'll be good. So we have a few things with us. I have a bag of magic rocks that emits a ton of scalar energy. We're gonna charge up everybody in the copter, and we're gonna be a beacon to try to draw attention from anything that's out there. So hopefully we'll see some action, and we'll have the GoPros attached to the chopper to review the tape afterwards and look for those fast-moving UAPs that I see at the superstitions. It's probably the same thing. Maybe it's military out there. Some people think it's military. It's a hidden base. We're going to take a look. There's no such thing as magic doors in mountainsides, so if we don't see something, it's probably not military, really. And helicopters, supposedly they see at night, that might not be helicopters. So we're going to go take a look at it and find out for ourselves. So we'll let you know, but follow along.
My background is I'm a retired military guy. I'm going out with Dan today on this helo ride. We're going to go check out some areas up northern Arizona, Bradford Ranch, Secret Canyon, maybe even the Clarkdale cement plant. All have rumors, conspiracy theories about possible military involvement, government involvement. I'm kind of there to say, hey, those look like those guys could be military, or those are military vehicles, or stuff like that. Just kind of look at anything that might stick out to me while we're looking for fun stuff floating around in the skies and anything else we can find. I'm always looking for the portal. Yeah, so why don't you go over the route? You got all your magic rocks?
I feel like a beacon flying over that. So if anything has to do with consciousness, I believe consciousness is the foundation of ufology.
I do too.
UAP, so they're going to see us. They're going to notice us. They're going to notice it probably anyways, but they're going to notice that we're a lot higher frequency than most. My theory is that this is like your hill there in Phoenix, where there's time missing. Because we keep coming up with a 5-second missing time there. What if it's the same thing going on at Skinwalker Ranch, where the reason their GPS track is off is because it's physically not there. It loses track of everything.
I think there's a lot of spots like that around the world, to be honest.
I just wonder if our GPS will lose any spots of the tracking when we fly.
I'm curious.
If we fly right over the portal, if we got some idea where it might be, the rumors, and all of a sudden the GPS starts acting weird there, we're going to go back there on foot, and we're going to check it out.
I love it, yeah.
If you put your hand on the ground and feel it, you'll be able to tell it'd be like these magic rocks. I was on the Tesseract when it was, I think it was 106 the other day at noon hour. I walked up there. It's not a big walk, but it's still hot. You don't set your ass on the rocks.
Yes.
Put it in your headset, not mine.
Just put it in there. You don't have an extra one, huh? You don't have
if I do, all the wind will hit it and it'll fall down.
You don't have.
Yeah,
so they got three.
It wouldn't pick up. It's going to have to be shielded.
I'll just shove it in mine. Okay.
It'd have to be shielded by the ear.
I can do that.
Chris is volunteering, I think.
Yes. Hey, I'm easy. This is what happens when you just show up. You get all the shit details.
Okay, just put that in your headphone.
Yes, sir. I got one too. So if you want one for you, I got one for this camera. So you got two.
Okay.
Can this screw in? You said that you got a screw mount?
I think we've screwed everything we can right now.
Testing. I hope this some bitch works.
Dan is ready to rock and roll.
Gotta have one of these if you're an explorer in Arizona, man.
Ooh, that's what I need to get.
Someday I'll tell you the story on finding that.
There's nothing loose here. Fly out of there, right?
These guys are geared up and ready to go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop in the car and we're gonna approach this from the ground level. We're gonna drive up north and we're gonna notice a few things. One of them is the change in the ecosystem. As we drive up north, one thing we do notice is the mountainous area that we're currently in is filled with granite, quartz, diorite. As we get further north to the high desert, where the plains begin to even out, you'll notice the landscape is beginning to change. And this is why Sedona is home of the Red Rocks. In the past, this area was all underwater. And when it became exposed to the air, the iron in the clay oxidized, changing the colors to red. And could this be why the energy coming from the ground affects thousands of people on a daily basis? People love to wander Sedona. They love to go off on trails, hit the walks, climb the mountains. You know, there's caves and everything out there. Who knows what's really going on? But the one thing we are going to do is we're going to investigate it. We're going to do our best to, bring you some answers. Because it's not just happening on the ground. It's in the air too. There's a specific area that we're going to go to. It's pretty popular, but the reports coming out of here are very strange. One thing we have learned is the iron levels in this area are a lot higher than others. Is this the reason why strange occurrences in the air are taking place? Or is there something much deeper? During the Skywatch, we noticed that some of the red rocks in the area appear to be carved by man, and they're massive structures. So I gotta remember I'm facing north of Sedona, so I need to find the star. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the star tracker. So I'm gonna use our pinpoint. This could have been a significant area, held with high regards, but in present day, that history has been lost. Reports of what appear to be hairy men in between 8 to 10 feet tall, walking in this wooded area. Lights coming from the mountain, going up into the sky and moving around, defying physics as we know it. So we're going to set up our cameras and we're going to record the sky until the sun sets. We're going to pull some samples from the area and test the iron levels and try to uncover what exactly is going on in this area. The viewer that brought this area to our attention also sent in a video. And this video you're about to see displays a government military helicopter following a light. And this light has no FAA patterns, meaning the light patterns that are FAA regulated, there are none. And every aircraft is supposed to have specific light patterns. Where this video was shot is in an area where Tom is. And we're about to go meet up with him right now. So as we show you this video, we're gonna pack up, get in the car, and go to an undisclosed location. This location is where Tom is.
Holy shit.
There appears to be a military operation going on right in our own backyards. As the Skywatch turns to Night Watch, we've got our cameras pointed and ready to capture what it is that they're actually doing. Is this operation fully ran by our government? Or is this a dual effort between our government and a species of unknown origins working together? And if they are, what is it that they're exactly doing? Are they extracting resources from this area? Are they simply building a base? Or is it something much deeper in the soil? You know, local legend states that there's an impact site somewhere in Sedona. And that impact happened years ago, maybe thousands of years ago. What is said is there is a craft of unknown origins embedded somewhere in the soil, and they say this is why certain areas in Sedona have a very high concentration of energy coming from the soil. One thing that may not be known to you is that the clay here is magnetic. There's a medicine wheel in the area that's not really known to the public. And it's known that this medicine wheel moves 8 centimeters a year without humans intervening. So what's possibly going on underneath Sedona, Arizona? Is it possible that a craft from another world lays hidden underground? Or is it something much more simple? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna join Tom on this Night Watch and show you what we've been observing over the past couple months.
We're gonna park wherever. I'm gonna park here. This is the third time that I've came to Sedona in 2025, so I've been coming here about every 3 to 4 weeks on almost a regular basis now. Every time I've came out here, I saw something pretty interesting that's worthy of further investigation. The first time I came out with just night vision, Luna Optics night vision, and recorded, but it was moving around. The next time I came back, second trip, came out with the Beast, which is a camera system and a whole bunch of tripods, and just recorded whatever we saw. Saw pretty weird stuff. So much I haven't had time to go through that footage. Now, we have Chris and Dan and Clive. They'll be arriving here soon. Chris and Dan were up in the helicopter earlier, filming around the area looking for weird anomalies. So we're doing the ground research. Guys, make sure you're on the sides of cars. So everybody is here, Chris, Dan, Clive, and more. Have came here on a Sunday night. We have a whole multi-spectrum of cameras.
What's up, buddy? We were out here doing the day watch earlier in a specific area, more in the town. We were looking at some of the structures. The beautiful thing is the clouds and everything cleared up. So we're out here with the team now. Tom was already set up and ready to go. Dan and Chris just arrived. Andre is here. It's Andre.
Oh, yeah.
Dan.
Hi, my name's Andre, and I'm up here in Sedona with a group of guys that I met. Basically, I started sending Clive some video that I had been capturing over the years of, anomalous things in the air that I couldn't explain. With my military background and, understanding modern flight characteristics, I knew something, amazing was kind of happening. Basically, now we're up here for a sky watch with the group of guys that I'm just now meeting, and I'm really excited. I've actually been waiting for this for a long time, this actual moment. But it's beautiful up here. They've got all these cameras set up, the excitement, that you can feel it. And I'm hoping that something really cool happens tonight, for these people, for you people, and for all of us. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Hi, Tom.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Good to see you out here. Thanks for coming out.
Nice spot.
Yeah.
Good overlook too of the whole valley right there.
This is where I shot the video before, and my mistake was touching the camera, because then when I put it into an editor and want to fast forward it, where I move the camera, it screws up, or zooming in and out. So this time, once I find the tripod adapter, I just want to have at least one camera sit there for the whole time.
All of
And
us.
that's kind of your plate, your background plate. And
And
then
that-
you can fast forward, and anybody else can zoom in, and we can pick those parts out. A lot of stuff we can't see that we'll need night vision for. The thermal camera I brought, so you can see how to hook that, beautiful that shit, has a range of those mountains, so about 35,000 feet. So those mountains are 5 to 7 miles away. So it could see anything coming out of those mountains, in front of it, or behind it.
I wonder if you got one of those.
Oh, there. I have too much shit. My wife won't let me get more shit.
I brought mine just for the hell of it. I don't have one of those. These are cool.
This is cool, isn't
Oh,
it?
you're right.
Yeah, like it's like,
I was running through this.
I wanted to get it.
Hey, we just got back from a helicopter flight over Bradshaw Ranch. It was a great flight. Didn't see anything in the air, but reviewing the flight tracker app and the recording of the flight, we noticed that as we crossed a fault line with the chopper, we would have missing data.
I was out with Dan. Great time on the helo. A lot of fun. We flew over Bradshaw. We flew over the concrete factory that has a lot of mysteries to it.
So also when we were flying in the chopper, I have some of the magic rocks I call with me at my foot in the chopper, a big bag of it, to raise my frequency. I wanted to be some of the entities, or the thinking is that these are energetic beings, or they're coming from, they're dimensional travelers, or so I wanted to stand out from everybody else. So I wanted them to notice us. So as we got up to the area, I could feel the energy in my head. I could feel it in my face when I was looking down at the hill. I could feel it. And as we went around to another hill that looked, the geometrical shape looked cool, I said, yeah, let's fly over by that area. And the feeling went away. So as soon as we came back to that fault line, and at the time I wasn't aware of the fault line. It was just a short valley right there, and we were flying over it, and I had my eye on this hill. And so we got up closer to that, I could feel it again. So it was really in my face, and it was similar to the feeling you get when you go in, we're in Sedona, and as you go into the Sedona, and there's like 7 or 8 vortex energy spots. And I've been into a couple. There's one up by the airport road on the way up there. There's a twisted tree that you stand right at the twisted tree, and you'll feel this same energy. It's kind of in your gut, a little bit of a metallic feeling. I don't know why, but and then in the Holy Chapel, in the main sanctuary, you can feel it there. You just sit down and sit quiet, and you'll feel it right there too. Now there's a few other spots there I haven't been to yet, but this is the same stuff. So I've heard some experts that are geologists even talk about the red rocks here, and it's iron, and it's the iron oxide, and that's why they're red. But there's concentrated places of minerals that focus that energy, or they concentrate that energy. Like Bradshaw Ranch is one, and there's probably a few other ones in the area here nobody really knows about. You have to kind of go there and recognize the feeling when you get to it. It'll move divining rods, it'll turn them right away. The hill behind Chris's house has the same thing.
I myself have just learned a lot about it, but like you're hearing a lot about vortexes, a lot about portals and stuff like that. And it's starting to, make sense. A lot of the stuff that I see down in Phoenix, is moving northeast a little, and towards Sedona. So I think it's all tied together somehow. I really started to get on the Dan train with that. A lot of this stuff is coming from the earth. It's so weird. Like, I have been able to just kind of call them in before, and like the way sometimes they'll come so quick, it's like even if it's a portal or a wormhole or something like that, it seems like it would take a little bit more time. The way they're could disappear these mountains, and just even watching other documentaries on it, like Skinwalker Ranch or other stuff that's out there. You see this stuff flying into mountains and stuff like that. Maybe they are from here, and maybe they've just been here all along.
We think these spots are hot spots for UFOs or UAPs because of the energy and because of the geology that's inside. Maybe the gold and the white powder gold, the gold ash may be what they're after or what draws them. So just by every time we see something new, we learn a new insight, and we learn a little bit more, put more together, and as time goes by, we're getting on it. I'm afraid eventually we're going to get to the spot where we're going to say, okay, there's nothing more I can look at now. It is what it is. as you know, scientists say, the farther you look over science, God is on the other side of it. So it may be something like that, and wouldn't be bad either. And so the radar data couldn't see us above that fault line. So it would jump across, and we crossed it 6 or 7 times. And so it wasn't just a weird anomaly. It happened one time, but it happened in the length of this fault line from the Bradshaw Ranch to the canyon, opening of the canyon. So that was definitely something to look at closer.
We have a whole multi-spectrum of cameras. We have 6K, 4K, thermal, multiple night vision, a little bit of everything. So if something shows up, there's going to be a huge amount of data. So this will be a good, fun skywatch, probably the first of many, to try to solve what are those lights flying around in these mountains and beyond. Tripods that are like 80, 90 bucks, like that. And they're good and stable. Yeah, they're good. You can do different positions. Yep. They can hold 50 pounds if you needed to. Get an extra one here I can borrow? No, I got two.
Tom has an extra tripod.
Those 2 chairs there, so somebody unfold those. I brought 4 chairs. What I was told is there's a secret base here somewhere over in these mountains.
What we're looking for is, I've always heard of a secret military base that was somewhere in this area.
And they've done ground penetrating radar that shows there's some kind of tunnel system over there.
Where we're at in specific is really not too far away from Bradshaw Ranch. And there's a couple of other things that are out here in the desert that just, you know, it doesn't really make sense why they're here. So knowing some of these stories and the history of Sedona.
And then the lore here is that there's helicopters coming in and out of these mountains, and when you have equipment, you see a lot of stuff. My theory is we are probably seeing something normal, but it appears weird now that we have 3rd generation night vision.
Really what we're trying to accomplish here is to understand what these lights could be, because we have heard that there are helicopters out here escorting orbs and other things like that.
I've heard UAPs, some people say UAPs are windows to the other dimensions. They're not spacecraft, nuts and bolts, they're windows into other dimensions. So you see one, and some say they're not even flying. They're not flying around. It may look like it to us, but that's just a window in their dimension that has to be moving around. And who knows, there is no such thing as a PhD in this kind of thing. There are no experts. There's guys that have been around it longer, and some of the guys that have been around it for 50, 60 years have come to this conclusion.
It's really about the groundwork and the research as a team to try to draw or figure out what it is that's going on in this area.
So the thing is when you put them on a tripod and you just record everything and you speed it up, you will see if it's a helicopter. That will stand out because it can only be in the air so long. An airplane's just going to go in a linear direction. So that will separate the wheat from the chaff to see, are these helicopters or not?
Also, we're going to collect some soil samples out here because, like Dan said, it could be, you know, the composition in the ground. It doesn't have to do with the iron that is in the soil. Could it be something else that we are unaware of or missing?
My second trip showed that most of these are aircraft. But we need further study, so we're here tonight to do that, to get a wider expansion of recording what's going on out there.
What we're going to do is we're going to point the cameras to the sky, and we're going to try to see what we come up with. Once again, the clouds cleared up, so the storm passed on.
Now's the time to look at the night sky and to see what we can see tonight. So we got all kinds of cameras, thermal cameras, night vision cameras, everything. So we're going to see what we can see. It's a great night.
I hang out, have a good time with my buddies. But honestly, I'm hoping that good energy just brings some fun stuff in the sky, and who knows? I've been waiting. Come pick me up. Have a lot of fun.
So we already understand it. PHC, that's the thermal model. The IP address is 192.168.1.35. So what that means is the IP address of this connector right here that's talking to it needs to be set at that. So we might already be set up since I've done this Skywatch interview. So what we're going to do now is open the Chrome and check camera one.
Do you need an internet?
Nope.
So it knows how to. It knows
Okay,
the IP address.
first let's just make sure the IP address is the same. So I'm going to go. I'm going to type in IP there.
Oh, now I'm lost. Never be able to do it.
Well,
You
can
got to
s-
start typing in DOS or code.
There's no IP address to assign.
Well, you don't need
I
it
don't have a
though for
router.
this.
I don't
That's
have
if you want to look live, but yeah, you can just run one camera. I got a SD card in there, and I tried formatting it, I cannot get it to record.
So here it's saying 195, right? See that? Well, that's a different thermal camera, right? We're on 135. Let's pull it up.
I can blame it on 2C, right? I mean, but the thing is it's like, yeah, that shit is sad. And I really left a sour taste in my mouth for the garden.
This is something that we do that is
You know,
open to the public.
that kind of stuff.
Anybody need power?
Do you have an extra C cord?
USB-C?
Yeah, or just a C charger?
Well, I have a power bank.
Not that one. Nope, there isn't. Ah, there might be.
Yeah, it looks like there's
Is that a C?
How you doing, Miss Dan's wife?
How you finally doing? I'm Chris. Hi, Joey. Very nice to meet you finally. Meet you too.
I just realized you guys haven't met.
My son. You bring him with you? How are you?
Now, what you're currently looking at is a view of how you would have seen the sky exactly. The reason why I'm going to show you this video is because we're going to train the eyes. There's things going on right now that you don't see. Once you see it, you can't undo it. What appears to be blinking stars, they're really not. Andre, yes, sir. Let's get an interview over here.
I remember that fluffy.
Sorry, I'm actually just in awe of all you guys' cameras and stuff.
Yeah, we-
like, okay,
we don't fuck around, dude.
someday, right? Like, dude, you aren't kidding. Like, I bring out my stuff, it's like little chair, little camera. You guys,
Fuck around, man.
I'm like, wow, man. Where you want
Chris,
me
stay right there, dude. I have the perfect shot. Oh, shit. No fucking way. Dude, just stay right there. Don't even move. Hey, Tom, come check this out.
I'm trying to work over.
Oh, you're good.
Over there without falling on some.
You dropped the water bottle.
Wait, where the fuck did you find this rock? Is this a rock or a tip?
Yeah, it's a rock.
No fucking way. This is the best. This is an automatic birth table. Right.
Stay right there, Chris. Look at that. It's the Big Dipper right above his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? The clouds blocking the moon are perfect.
Yes.
It's like saying, nope, we're going to give you full no moon tonight.
Now, the camera's really in focus, so you should really be able to see this. And it's really hard because keep in mind, what you're seeing is in real time. If you take your focus to the left side of the screen, slightly above the clouds, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in that area is moving. It makes you think of the words to the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Looking at this in real time and knowing that there's objects moving that you cannot see, we're going to show you how to see them. One of the things that we have to do is we speed up the video because they move really slow at times. When you look at this, you got to start to ask the question, well, what could this be? Well, those aren't stars. Those are too low to be stars. Also, you can see the difference between the stars in the background using the Big Dipper versus what we're looking at right now. So those definitely aren't stars. Now, are they birds or bugs? Well, birds and bugs don't have linear path like that. They typically fly around, they do maneuvers, so definitely don't think that these are birds or bugs for that matter. Well, are they airplanes? Are they helicopters? I think the answer to that question is no as well, because airplanes, helicopters, they have FAA regulations. Any type of aircraft, including drones, they have to follow those regulations. And those regulations, some of them, the main ones, there's a system of lights that are on helicopters and drones. And we're going to show what a helicopter and a plane looks like. And these objects here, as they pass the screen, you don't see any flashing lights. You would see red, green, or even white, which is typically your tail light. You don't see any of that. Well, the last thing, second to last thing, would be satellites. This could possibly be an area where the concentration of satellite traffic, or at least the visibility of it, is really high. What we're going to do is we're going to show you a couple of videos that took place after this. There's a strong possibility that a lot of these are satellites. But these next couple of videos that you're about to see that show there's something else out there.
You see a plane going by and something flying by over it. Oh, there's something going by south too. Look how much stuff there is now. It's just starting.
Well, there is something right there moving. The plane.
Yeah, it's two of them right there, see them?
Oh, no, I saw 6 or 7 of them over here by now. Oh yeah, you're not seeing some. They're going in about every direction you can think of almost. Once you lock eyes on one of them, you'll start seeing a whole bunch of them around it.
Yeah. Something about this patch of clouds, like right above us. It's like really
with groups of people. There's something over there flying. See that? A flashing light.
Up on the ridge?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I wonder if
It's been going all night. Is that
if there's like some sort of trail up there on the ridge,
I don't
possible?
It's too bright. It's too bright of light.
Well, everyone will have cool footage to review tomorrow.
Yeah, tonight. Oh shit, I'll be up tonight reviewing this shit.
We pay good money to feel this in Phoenix. At this time of year.
Oh man. There's one right above us. It actually just disappeared. Maybe it's the clouds. You see it? It's getting brighter. It's turning. Oh shit. Am I getting that? Right here, it's in the clouds now.
Let's see. Stare over there, I'll get it.
Wait a second, hold on. Whoa, that's crazy. Where'd it go? Hold on, let me keep my eye there for just a second.
That son of a bitch just got to.
Huh. That's interesting. It looks like I got that. Whatever that was, I think I got it on camera.
You're recording stuff right now that we're not even seeing. All of us are.
Yes.
You'll have to watch the playback on a very large TV and go, wow, that's why you went out there.
Yeah.
A lot of those night vision devices are picking this stuff up. The thermal's limited because it's got that 30,000 feet range.
Yeah, that's the only problem with the thermals.
But that's great because that if we pick up stuff on night vision.
So what we're looking at is the first example of why some of these things aren't satellites. Now, first off, I'm shooting with a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. And I see this as it's happening. I thought it disappeared, but it reappeared. But at the same time, I also noticed that it is turning. Satellites do not do that. I saw this happen in real time. Where did it go? And this is not the only time that I saw this take place. Throughout the entire night, I kept seeing these flashes of lights, which is something that is common when you're hunting for UFOs or even just looking at the night sky. Your eyes will be fixated on one spot and you'll see a flash in your peripheral vision. And you look over and you don't see it anymore. Sometimes you feel like your eyes may be playing tricks on you. The one thing about satellites, and looking at this in specific, it looks like it appears out of nowhere. And as you can see, there's other satellites flying past. What you're looking at, this object actually comes down at us. It's not flying across the sky and lights up. It comes down or from space into our light spectrum, which is where the sun is at. It gets low enough, finds a cloud, and is no longer there. What we're looking at now, this is a cropped piece of the video, which allows us to focus on this part of the sky in specific. Once again, I see it come down. And typically satellites travel east to west, north to south. In this rare instance, I seen this happen. That's the thing. This isn't something that, I noticed going back as I was watching the video. I saw this happen with my eyes. You hear my voice. I don't know if I subconsciously knew something was up with the clouds. Tom even said something about the clouds. I mentioned the clouds earlier in the day with Tom as we're driving in. And even in the same video, you hear me mention something about the shape of the clouds. Let's start there. But I remember sitting there and looking straight up. My camera, obviously I'm handling the camera, but I remember looking straight up and looking at the cloud in specific. It was circular. It reminded me of some sort of like combination lock. It's hard to explain, but it was circular. It was moving in a circular motion. I remember I said this. Once again, this is why I showed you the video in real time. This is probably the first time where I'm subconsciously am aware of the phenomena which involves the clouds. There's something going on with the clouds in Sedona, and I recognized that during the day. Now I'm sitting there looking up. I noticed this circular patch of clouds. Once again, it's moving in a circular motion. And then I thought it disappeared, but the light appeared and it got really bright, and I see it take place, and I see it go behind the cloud. And initially, through process of elimination, my mind wants to say, anytime I see something like that, I want to write it off as a satellite, because a lot of the times that's what these are. Because we're speeding up and showing the video at a much faster rate, once the object goes behind that cloud, it's like this patch of clouds just dissipates. Satellites do not do what we are currently looking at. This came down into our atmosphere. We have no idea what that object is. We can't identify that object. It appeared, went behind a cloud, and disappeared. Now, if anybody out there can provide examples, obviously we're going to listen to it. But trying to convince us that that is a satellite, or that all of these objects are satellites, this proves that a lot of these objects that we're seeing in the sky are not satellites. This isn't the only time that it happened. This video in specific, I see it happening again. But seeing this video right now lets me know that my eyes weren't playing tricks with me. I'll be quick to call myself crazy before I say this is a UFO, a UAP. I see another object that's moving. Hey guys, hold on. Hold the fuck on. You see it? I see the same thing too. I wasn't sure if it was moving, but this time in specific, Andre is watching it with me. He sees it. Now we're communicating together. We've got another set of eyes on the object. Yeah. So that's moving, right? I'm not tripping. Now, majority of what you're seeing are satellites. You look down in the bottom right corner, that's a plane. You see the aviation lights. Now, I believe this was the object. I wasn't sure if it was moving, but I believe this was the object that I was seeing. And once again, what I will do, I am the first one. I like to throw out the word crazy a lot, but I need to find a better word. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. I just want to make sure my eyes aren't playing tricks on me, because sometimes you'll think something is moving and it's the clouds, especially on cloudy days. The rotation, it's really tricky. So I just wanted to make sure that I was not getting ahead of myself when it comes to this. Now, keep in mind, it's happening again for a second time. So that is the second time we've tracked something. And once it went behind the cloud, I'm gonna wait a little bit.
And what you don't realize, it's going to happen a third time as I'm explaining.
So let's just make sure, let me see. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
The phenomena is about to occur. This time, I don't see it. So two things happened in one setting.
Oh my God, that is a beautiful shot.
This is where it gets interesting. I'm waiting for the object to come out of the clouds. What's about to happen, I don't see with my eyes.
Okay, so we are now looking in a northwestern direction. We were tracking an object. I thought it was the clouds. I wasn't able to see if it was moving, but it actually was moving. Confirmed that with Andre and having other eyes on it. This is the second time where I've noticed something to where we were observing it and then it was going through a cloud. Now we don't see it. And the camera is on this exact cloud. And yeah.
These two objects come into the screen. The first object goes behind the cloud. The second object goes behind the cloud. The first object comes out. The second object does not. Keep in mind, this is the third time. As I was explaining the second time, I did not see this with my eyes. And finally, the batteries are also dying.
All right, so the battery is, we're gonna let this run out till the battery drains itself. Should come out, zoom out of the shot there.
I'm not realizing what is happening. I'm in the moment. That is clear evidence that some of these are not satellites. Back to your sightings. If they're meant for other eyes, they'll be in that moment with you. And just so happened, Andre was in this moment and we're watching it. We watched that object, not only with the naked eye, but with our cameras, go into the exact cloud that you're looking at right now. Now, if you look at the top of the screen, that went through the clouds just fine. But the first object goes in. First object comes out. The second one does not. What technology has the capability to do exactly what we're looking at? The second phenomena did not come out. It's sitting behind the cloud. And when you come to the conscious aspect of it, I'm talking about what I'm witnessing and experiencing. I'm doing a narration as it's happening. I'm filming for this movie. But also, it is aware of the clouds and how the clouds act as a shield for human eyes. I seen it twice, but in reality, I saw it a third time, and the third time, I didn't see it with the naked eye. But my backup, which is my 70 to 200 millimeter lens, captured it. And back to the clouds. Why is there two videos? This one in specific has two separate incidents on the same video.
I see it with Andre, the second one. We point up, we're looking. I move the camera to a place where I expect it to come out. And then those two, the third incident shows up. One goes in, two goes in, one comes out. The second one never does. I put the camera in the right place and at the right time. Is it possible that through clear thought, intent, so I'm thinking about future events, future people, future emotions, future thoughts, things that are all happening in the future. And I end up moving the camera in the perfect place, not knowing that something was going to take place that I wasn't even going to see with my eyes. Keep in mind, I saw everything else take place except this. And thankfully, I have my voice narration to back it up. What makes this phenomena so interesting is Andre and I were in the moment. And in that moment, we saw it. We confirmed that it was moving. It wasn't the movement of the clouds. And I moved the camera and adjusted. I begin to explain what I had just saw. I'm talking to the future people who are going to watch this film. But I'm talking to myself. And one thing about consciousness, and one thing you learn about sky watching or even interacting with these things, whatever they are, is if you communicate, openly speak, sometimes it will happen as you're speaking, as you see right now. And this is just my theory, my opinion. I would go on the limb and say that this could be a higher intelligence, because if you notice, there appears to be a shooting star. That's why I keep going back and forth with this. If you look in the top right, you see a brilliant flash of light. Now, did it leave super fast and that's why it didn't come out of the other side? Or did it hear what I was saying and stayed behind the cloud? Those are the only two questions that I have to ask. I don't know a third. But clearly, that second light is not a satellite. First one could very well be. But that second object, I want to say, was mimicking a satellite as it was traveling. Curious. And through the conscious aspect, it heard me. So yeah, I've always heard the story of a secret military base out here.
Yep. Everybody's
Always.
talking about it, but where is it?
What we've learned is there's definitely a military presence in this area. And what are these orbs of light with no aviation lights or patterns? It makes sense why this place is so popular. The moment you see the rock, they speak to you. You can feel the energy. And what we're doing is bringing you thorough investigations by air, by ground, and by night. Sedona is definitely a hotspot. There's something going on in this area that warrants further investigation. And not only that, we need to take a deeper dive into weather anomalies, occurrences, how the weather affects these, because we are physically showing proof that what you've seen in Jordan Peele's Nope isn't too far off. What you saw in that movie with Jean Jacket hiding behind the clouds, we showed you in real life. 2 different times. You can sit here and say, we have a phenomena where objects, light, goes behind the cloud and either disappears or doesn't come out. In the first video, the cloud disappears and you don't see it. We are bringing physical proof that unexplained aerial phenomena are a real thing. This is why the separation between UFO and UAP exists,
because a UFO can be identified: a paper plate, piece of tinfoil, a black triangle, a flying saucer, a cylinder shape. Those are unidentified objects that have been identified. Now there's UAPs, unexplained aerial phenomena. And in this situation, UAPs, different ones, show up in the same video. Let's look back at the video of Chris that we showed you in the beginning. And let's take a look at the concentration in what appears to be a swarm. How many of these are not satellites just flying in our skies? Obviously low enough to where they're actually in our atmosphere. These aren't that high. The clouds are not that high. They go behind the clouds and disappear. How many of these objects that we're seeing are satellites? And how many of them are not?
Is we're going to continue the hunt non-stop around the clock. So in the meantime, expect the unexpected, because we're living in a time where we don't know what to believe. But through thorough investigation, mindful conversations, and peaceful interactions, we will continue to try to bring you answers. Thank you for joining us on Skywatch. What they say is there's a massive craft of unknown sources in Arizona, Sedona to be specific. And word is the military accidentally turned it on. And this is why that whatever it is in deep space that's coming our way that everybody's talking about now, this is why it's coming.
We only have one sun, only one moon reserved for us humans, and apparently, we only have one Milky Way. Do we? A mysterious thing happened that made the scientists doubt that we have only one Milky Way. On the island of Hawaii, there's an extinct volcano, Mauna Kea. This is where the twin brother of the Milky Way was captured by a telescope. In the night sky, the observers saw a mysterious spiral twisting in the shape of a galaxy. And it did resemble the Milky Way. Still, it disappeared quite quickly, but it left the scientists perplexed. Sometime later, they concluded that this spiral is no twin brother of the Milky Way, but it was due to the launch of a SpaceX rocket. Careful! The lightning has struck a lone tree near where you just stood. It's caught on fire, and there's a column of flames rising to the sky. Still no rain, and the pillar becomes taller and taller. You've heard of such a thing but never seen it. A fire tornado. These phenomena occur when the wind is caught in a circle close to the ground because of the difference in air pressure. Such mini tornadoes are usually easy to notice. Small rubble, dust, sand, and leaves rise into the air and start flying in rapid circles. But then, if there's a source of fire nearby, the funnel can catch it and blow it stronger, like bellows. The flames go round and round, reaching even higher and eventually creating a swirling, blazing tower. Luckily, fire tornadoes are short-lived and don't normally cause much damage. Just the way tornadoes can be unordinary, the rains can be too. Now, if anything could startle me out into the sky, it's a rain of spiders. And if you wonder whether it's a real thing, well, yes, it is. In Australia, spider rains actually happen quite often. They even got a name for this: ballooning. Seems kind of inappropriate. It goes like this. Spiders that can balloon climb up trees and tall bushes, trying to reach the highest point available in the area. When they've climbed up to the very top, they spin their web in such a way that it allows them to be carried by the wind. And there it goes, clutching the strands of the web with its tiny little feet. The brave spider lifts off into the air and flies to whatever awaits it out there. Normally, ballooning goes unnoticed by us humans because spiders don't travel in large groups. You might have quite a shocking experience when a spider suddenly lands on your face out of nowhere. But otherwise, it's a pretty rare occasion to meet more than 2 ballooners at once. Still, when the weather gets particularly bad, with lots of rain or wind, thousands or even millions of spiders might decide it's time to move somewhere friendlier and take to the sky all at once. That's when spider rains occur. Those who witnessed the most recent ones back in 2012 and 2015 says it looks like a snowfall. Spiders slowly drifting down on their web parachutes that settle on the ground and turn it white. That's it, I'm moving to Mars. I draw the line at flying spiders. Now picture this. You look out the window and see something incredible. A rainbow. But it's dark already and the moon is shining in the clear night skies. Wait. That's exactly what it is. A moonbow, also called a lunar rainbow. This event occurs extremely rarely. It's similar to a regular rainbow in everything except that it appears on a clear, moony night after a rain shower. Thankful for such a spectacle, you go to sleep. The next morning, you look out the window again and suddenly, the sun is all but blocked. And it seems to be night again. You hear distant rustling and some kind of cawing. Puzzled, you look up and can't believe your eyes. There are thousands upon thousands of birds in the sky, so many that they block all sunlight. This is called sortsol, or black sun in Danish. Very fitting. More fitting than ballooning spiders. Normally, it only happens in Denmark, hence the name, where numerous migratory starlings take to the air at the same time to look for a place to stay for the winter. There are so many of them that they make the sky go black for a few moments. What are they doing where you are? Well, that's a good question. Money doesn't grow on trees, but it can fall from the sky. This is the kind of rain I'd like to see someday, a money shower, as opposed to spiders. One such event occurred in Germany. People just saw banknotes falling from a high-rise building. No one knows why it happened. Probably someone accidentally dropped a bag full of money out of a window. But that was around 50,000 euros. Those who were lucky to get caught in such a rain turned out to be very honest people, and they handed those banknotes, over to the police. Don't wait for the second rain of this kind to come. Go find a job. Not all the rain is as pleasant as the one pouring money on your head. A pretty unpleasant kind of rain happened back in 1876 in Olympia Springs, Kentucky. Please don't be spiders, please don't be spiders. A Mrs. Crouch said that she had been making soap outside her home when suddenly, pieces of raw meat started falling from the sky all around her. Some of those chunks were pretty massive, reaching over 3 inches in diameter. Hey, dinner! Yeah, she'd rather choose Kentucky Fried Chicken, but she involuntarily ended up with Kentucky Meat Shower. Local newspapers reported that 2 people who decided to remain unknown tasted the meat and concluded it was either mutton or venison. Months later, scientists decided to find out the truth behind the strange event. It became a matter of heated debate until one of the researchers came up with the most reasonable conclusion. The meat rain must have been caused by vultures flying over the town at the time. These birds sometimes regurgitate the food right in the middle of the flight as a defense mechanism or to make their bodies lighter to fly faster. And that must have been what happened right over Mrs. Crouch's house, unfortunately. I love California. Let's teleport to LA. Can you see that? Almost right above you? There's a beautiful rainbow cascade of clouds. These are called a fire rainbow, or a circumhorizontal arc. Again, it's a rare thing, but here in Los Angeles, it's much more likely to occur than, say, in Berlin. Fire rainbows only appear when the conditions are right. The place must be close to the equator, the sky must be clear, and there are feather-like clouds in the sky. The position of the sun matters too. It must be higher than 58 degrees above the horizon. Such clouds are made of ice crystals, and when the sun's rays hit them, the particles refract the light and create a rainbow. The moon may seem like no big deal. You can see it in different places, in different sizes. But how come the colors may differ? What makes it bright yellow tonight and ominously dark red tomorrow is a more complex thing. The natural color of the moon as seen from outside the Earth's atmosphere is brownish gray. When seen right above our heads, it usually looks bright and almost white because its reflected light passes through a relatively thin layer of the atmosphere. Almost nothing blocks and refracts the shine, so it's very clear. The moon can appear yellow, orange, or even red when it's seen just above the horizon. The effect is similar to what happens at sunrise or sunset when the sun appears to be red. The light goes a much longer way to reach your eyes from that location, and much of the blue part of its spectrum gets lost. This turns the color of the light into a much warmer variety. It can also appear blue, and the reason for that is the presence of fine particles in the air. They refract the light anyway, so the moon is never the way it looks outside the atmosphere. But when they're larger than usual, they turn its color bluish. Finally, there's an extremely rare occasion when the moon can look purple. Nobody knows for sure why this happens. But astronomers believe it must be a combination of the atmosphere, dust particles, and maybe something else. There's no clear explanation.
You're tilting your head up to the night sky, hoping to enjoy the most glorious light show ever. Red, purple, and green ribbons of the northern lights. Instead, you see ghostly white streaks illuminating the sky. They look uncanny and even a bit creepy. What's happening here? Scientists have recently spotted these weird lights mixed in with the usual colorful northern lights. These pale streaks show up alongside or inside the red and green auroras. But they aren't actually auroras themselves. Instead, they might be created in a way similar to Steve, a mysterious, mesmerizing purple light in the sky about which we'll talk later. Researchers are still trying to figure out exactly what causes these white glows, but let's start from the very beginning. Scientists in Canada noticed something strange while looking at pictures of the northern lights. Those images came from TREX, a special camera network designed to study the space environment near Earth. Unlike other cameras that only capture certain colors like red or green, TREX records full-color images, making it easier to spot unusual details. The space physicist, who was reviewing these pictures with a colleague, came across a weird grayish-white patch mixed in with the auroras. Curious about what it was, the team decided to dig deeper. After searching through years of TREX data, they found 30 similar white-streaked auroras captured between 2019 and 2023 over Saskatchewan, Canada. These mysterious white tendrils stretched for tens to hundreds of miles across the sky. Sometimes they appeared alongside the usual red and green northern lights. Other times, they showed up right after colorful auroras faded away. Recent spectral analysis has revealed that the unusual whitish glow appearing in the northern lights is caused by continuum emission. That's a type of light that contains a wide range of wavelengths rather than the distinct red and green colors typically seen in auroras. Normal auroras occur when charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere, exciting oxygen and nitrogen atoms, which then releases energy as specific colors of light. But the white glow behaves differently. It means that another process must be at work there. Interestingly, this white emission resembles the light produced by the already mentioned STEVE, aka Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. That's an atmospheric phenomenon that appears as purple or mauve light, often with a green striped pattern called the picket fence. Unlike regular auroras, it doesn't produce blue light and happens further from the poles. Scientists found that the green stripes are brighter than expected and don't have any blue light from nitrogen. This means the energy of the particles creating the colors is just right, not too strong. It means these particles aren't coming from space because they would have too much energy to create these colors. Next, regular auroras form at high altitudes, while STEVE occurs farther south, closer to the equator. Scientists believe STEVE is created by an extremely fast-moving stream of charged plasma flowing through the atmosphere. As this plasma speeds through, it generates intense friction and heat, causing particles to glow. This is a completely different mechanism than the one behind auroras. To really figure out if this theory is correct, scientists think they need to send a rocket into STEVE, or its associated picket fence, to measure the electric fields and the exact conditions that create these phenomena. Getting direct measurements will be tricky though, since STEVE doesn't happen all the time. Still, there's a good chance they can study enhanced auroras, which sometimes have similar colors to STEVE and are more common. These enhanced auroras are also thought to be caused by electric fields. Speaking of the newly discovered white patches within auroras, they may also be caused by a similar heating process going on in the upper atmosphere. However, researchers are still unsure what could be driving this heating, or why the white emissions appear in some parts of the sky, but not in others. In some cases, the pale streaks appear with bright auroras, while sometimes they emerge in areas where auroras have just faded away. Although the white auroral emissions and STEVE share certain similarities, their shapes and behaviors are quite different. STEVE looks like a smooth, well-defined arc, and the white patches in the auroras are scattered and irregular. It means they're not exactly the same phenomenon. However, they could be linked to similar chemical or atmospheric processes. If this is true, it might allow scientists to investigate how plasma flows interact with Earth's upper atmosphere. But weird white glows aren't the only bizarre phenomenon appearing in the sky above your head. Scientists at the Indian Astronomical Observatory have recently captured something rare, a red aurora known as a stable aurora arc, aka SAR. It appeared during a strong geomagnetic storm. Unlike regular auroras, which happen when charged particles from space collide with Earth's atmosphere, SAR arcs form in a completely different way. Instead of coming from space, they show the movement of heat energy within Earth's atmosphere. This energy comes from Earth's ring current system. That's a massive flow of electric currents that circle the planet. During the storm, this system became highly charged, leading to these rare red arcs appearing in multiple places around the world. So, how do auroras like this happen? The sun constantly emits charged particles, which disturb Earth's magnetic field and upper atmosphere. This solar wind interacts with Earth and triggers breathtaking light shows. In the northern hemisphere, this phenomenon is called the aurora borealis. In the southern hemisphere, it's known as the aurora australis. The way the sun's magnetic field interacts with Earth's determines the intensity, color, and brightness of these auroras. Plus, the colors of auroras depend on the gases that are excited. Green is from oxygen, purple or blue is from nitrogen, and red, a much rarer color, comes from high-altitude oxygen. Now, beside these usual colors, there's something much less known: the black aurora. This one's pretty mysterious, because instead of lighting up the sky with colors, it creates dark patches within the glowing auroras. The black aurora can show up in different shapes, like dark rings, curls, or blobs within the usual bright lights. Researchers using the Cluster spacecraft discovered that these dark areas happen when there are holes in the ionosphere, which is the upper part of the atmosphere. In these holes, electrons are shooting up into space. Normally, in bright auroras, electrons fall down from space, bump into particles in the atmosphere, and cause them to glow. But in the black aurora, the opposite happens. Electrons go up into space, creating a hole where no light can form. After a while, these holes fill back in and the usual glowing aurora returns. So you can think of the black aurora as a kind of opposite of the regular aurora. It's a temporary anti-aurora that disappears after some time. You might be wondering why auroras are more frequent these days than they were a few years ago. The answer is simple. Right now, the sun is in the most active phase of its 11-year cycle, known as the solar maximum. During this time, the sun produces more sunspots, which are dark, cooler areas on its surface caused by intense magnetic activity. The more sunspots there are, the higher the chances of powerful solar events like solar flares and coronal mass ejections, which can send bursts of charged particles toward Earth. NASA and NOAA predict that the sun will continue producing more sunspots and energy bursts, leading to more frequent and intense space weather events. Solar activity is so strong that it produces the northern lights, or aurora borealis, visible much farther south than usual, especially in May and October. The current cycle, called Solar Cycle 25, officially began in December 2019. Since then, the sun's activity has been steadily increasing each year. Scientists believe this solar maximum will last longer than usual because Solar Cycle 25 is relatively weak compared to past cycles. But it's actually a good thing if you want to catch more light shows. A longer solar maximum means more chances for strong solar storms and more opportunities to see stunning auroras in unexpected places over the next few years. These two sky photos were taken less than an hour apart. Play Spot the Difference and you'll notice that some bright dots disappeared. Before you think, oh, stars do that sometimes. Spoiler, they don't. This looks more like a human-made spacecraft passing through the shot. But here's the twist. The photos were taken in 1952, and that's 5 years before we even launched our first object into space. So, what are those dots? Could they be signs of artificial objects made by extraterrestrials? Well, yes, they could. At least that's one of the hypotheses proposed by researcher Beatriz Villarroel at Stockholm University in Sweden. She recently published 2 papers trying to explain these disappearing points of light in photos from the early 1950s, what her team calls transients. So, these are star-like objects of unknown origin that showed up in the first Palomar Observatory sky survey. This was a major astronomy project in California that used a nearly 50-inch telescope that produced almost 2,000 photographic plates of the northern night sky. And there's no denying it, the transients were there. And they were acting weird, disappearing all of a sudden. So scientists had to find an explanation, and that brings us to 4 big hypotheses about what they actually are. Hypothesis number 1. Stars. This is a cool theory because we can actually test it. Go outside tonight and look at the stars. Pay attention to where they are in the sky. Then check again tomorrow night. You might notice that a few stars seem to disappear, but they didn't vanish forever. they're just harder to see. They can get washed out by normal stuff like clouds, haze, humidity, or even bright moonlight. All of that can hide stars from your view for a while, but they'll show up again eventually. So could those transients from the 50s have been stars, and the survey just caught a moment where they seemed to disappear for a sec? You see, astronomers have plenty of things in the sky that look like they vanish. For example, variable stars, whose brightness goes up and down. You've also got supernovae, passing asteroids, and active galaxies that can flare and fade. These changes can happen over minutes, days, or even years. But here's the problem. These transients don't really behave like that. In the old plates, they show up once, and then they're completely missing from images taken both before and after that. I mean, astronomers didn't see them on a blue sensitive plate taken just 30 minutes earlier. They didn't show up on a red sensitive plate taken 6 days later either. Whatever these things were, they were strange because there were so many of them and they were gone so fast. One moment they're there and then they never show up again. That's really odd. So no, they probably weren't stars. What seems more likely is that these flashes were sunlight reflecting off objects orbiting Earth. And that brings us to hypothesis number 2. They were satellites, or some other human-made spacecraft. You've got to remember, this was the 1950s, right when the space race was starting to take over headlines around the world. Everyone wanted to reach space, and they wanted to do it fast. So it's fair to ask, could this have been some kind of early satellite? And the answer is no. The Palomar survey plates were taken before the launch of the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, in 1957, so the timing doesn't really work, and that makes the human-made object theory pretty hard to support. Which brings us to hypothesis number 3, extraterrestrial objects. Yep, something like an aircraft or a satellite, but made by a highly advanced civilization out there. Something that could have been flying around back then, maybe even watching us, and then for some reason never landed on Earth. It's a wild theory. But when you look at how strange these transients are, you can see why some people take this idea seriously. One thing I didn't tell you is that not all the bright dots were perfect little circles. Sometimes they showed up as straight lines or thin bands. Other times they looked sharp, almost star-shaped. And here's the weird part. Patterns like that can happen when light reflects off something with a flat surface. A regular space rock like an asteroid usually wouldn't have flat, manufactured-looking faces like that. So the study raises the possibility that something artificial might have been up there before humans even started launching spacecraft. And here's where it gets even stranger. These transients showed up around the same time as a bunch of old reports of strange objects in the sky. That same number in 1952, and a lot of people claimed they saw unusual flying objects over Washington, D.C. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 sightings. The U.S. Air Force recorded a total of 717 reports during that period. That's a pretty wild coincidence, but extraterrestrial tech might not be the final answer. Some scientists lean toward a 4th hypothesis: human experiments. These newer studies suggest there could be a link to things happening down on Earth. In fact, more than half of the transients showed up the day after nuclear tests. One idea is that the flashes could have been debris from those tests getting thrown high up into the atmosphere. But this theory isn't perfect either. The transients left streaks on the images during the 50-minute exposure. And for that to make sense, the debris would have to stick around and stay concentrated in roughly the same spot for about 24 hours to match what we see. That's really hard to believe, if not basically impossible. Out in space, something doesn't stay fixed over one location for a full day unless it's being actively controlled. So for now, scientists still need more evidence before this can be the main explanation. Well, it kind of feels like we're out of hypotheses, right? And now you see why these transients are still such a big mystery. But there's a group of scientists who think the explanation might be way simpler than it sounds. They think it could all come down to a bad photo. I know, that's not exactly thrilling, but hear me out. We're talking about old images from the 1950s, and you don't have to be an expert to know that back then, sky photos were nothing like what we can capture today. These images were recorded on photographic plates. Basically, they were glass plates coated with a light-sensitive layer, used long before digital cameras to capture the night sky. For their time, it was a big deal. It meant astronomers could store what they saw instead of drawing it by hand. But those plates had problems. They were sensitive, they could get damaged, and the images weren't nearly as clean as what we get with modern digital sensors. These plates can have issues like scratches and tiny defects in the light-sensitive coating. The digitizing process can also add things that weren't really supposed to be in the image. Suddenly, you're seeing a bright dot that could actually be, I don't know, saliva? It turns out humidity can leave marks on photographic plates too. And if a scientist sneezed near a plate at some point, for example, that could have left a weird trace in the image. So if someone handled them badly decades ago, that could leave odd traces in the image. And researchers point out that some of the faintest transients show up in areas of the plates that look contaminated. To completely rule out this hypothesis, they need to inspect the original plates under a microscope. The problem is, the researchers don't have access to the originals. They're working with digitized copies. Still, Villarroel isn't fully convinced it's all just image errors. She says some of these transients line up in ways that are just too unlikely to be random. So the idea now is to keep digging into this with a project called ExoProbe. The goal of the program is to build a network of telescopes that will scan the sky for quick, sudden flashes of light. And if these transients are real, we might not have to wait much longer to find out.